My name is Beatrice Wood, and this is my presentation on the history and future of the NHL. Founded in 1917, the NHL began as a small Canadian-based organization, but has since expanded into the multinational powerhouse and the premier professional ice hockey league in the world. It serves not only as a pinnacle of achievement for professional hockey players, but also as a major cultural force across North America. The league has shaped the way the game is played, marketed, and celebrated, helping to elevate hockey from a regional pastime to an internationally revered sport. This presentation will explore the rich history of the NHL, its evolution as a league, the cultural and economic impact it has had, and the many challenges and triumphs it has faced throughout its storied existence. The National Hockey League, NHL, has a long and fascinating history that reflects not only the growth of professional hockey, but also the changing culture of North America. The league was officially formed on November 26, 1917 in Montreal, Quebec. It came out of disagreements within the National Hockey Association, and 4 Canadian teams joined the new league: the Montreal Canadiens, the Montreal Wanderers, the Ottawa Senators, and the Quebec Bulldogs, but who would delay their debut until the 1919 to 1920 season. In the very beginning, the NHL was small, unstable, and often experimental. Teams folded or moved, arenas burned down, and even the rules were still being figured out. Despite the rough start, the league slowly began to earn a reputation as the highest level of competition in professional hockey. In the 1920s, the NHL began expanding into the United States, marking a major turning point in its history. The Boston Bruins became the first U.S.-based team when they joined in 1924. Soon after, other American teams were added, including the New York Rangers, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Detroit Cougars, who would later become the Red Wings. This expansion helped bring the game to a wider audience, especially in major cities where hockey was still a new experience for many fans. By the 1940s, the league had stabilized into what is now called the Original Six era, consisting of the Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, Detroit Red Wings, and Chicago Blackhawks. These 6 teams made up the entire NHL from 1942 to 1967, creating some of the most iconic rivalries and traditions in hockey history. Sidney Crosby, captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins, has had an impact on the NHL that goes far beyond his impressive stats. Drafted first overall by the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2005, Crosby entered the league with enormous expectations, and somehow he lived up to every one of them. He quickly became the face of the Penguins and helped bring the team back to greatness, leading them to 3 Stanley Cup wins in 2009, 2016, and 2017. What makes Crosby stand out is not just his skill, but his leadership and ability to perform under pressure. He's known for being calm, focused, and highly competitive, often described as a player who makes everyone around him better. In his early career, Crosby was seen as the NHL's golden boy, a symbol of hope for the league trying to regain popularity after the 2004 and 2005 lockout. According to ESPN, he was marketed as the next Gretzky, the next Lemieux, and the next great hope of hockey, which shows how much responsibility was placed on his shoulders from the start. And in many ways, Crosby delivered, helping to increase TV ratings, bring new fans to the game, and give the NHL a modern superstar to build around. Alexander Ovechkin, who was drafted first overall by the Washington Capitals in 2004, is one of the most known players in the NHL currently. While Crosby's game is built around smooth playmaking and vision, Ovechkin's is all about raw power, explosive scoring, and unmatched intensity. He became one of the most exciting players in the league right away, thanks to his huge hits, unstoppable shots, and high-energy celebrations. Ovechkin helped redefine what a goal scorer could be in the modern NHL. For years, people doubted if he would ever win a Stanley Cup, but in 2018, he finally led the Capitals to victory, earning playoff MVP and solidifying his legacy. Ovechkin has spent his entire career with Washington, becoming not just the face of the franchise, but one of the most beloved and recognizable athletes in the sport. As ESPN puts it, Ovechkin is a highlight reel come to life, showing how he brought a kind of flash and charisma to the league that drew in fans and media attention. He also surpassed Wayne Gretzky's record for all-time scores, which was 894, in the past season when he scored his 895th goal against the New York Islanders on April 6th. Known as the Great One, Wayne Gretzky played for several teams over his career, but he made his biggest mark with the Edmonton Oilers during the 1980s. With his unbelievable vision, playmaking, and scoring touch, he completely changed what's possible in hockey. Gretzky holds more than 60 NHL records, including most career points, assists, and goals, not anymore, because Alexander Ovechkin surpassed that. He won 4 Stanley Cups with the Oilers and helped popularize this game in the U.S. after being traded to Los Angeles Kings in 1988, a move that shocked the sports world but also helped grow the NHL's presence in non-traditional markets. ESPN wrote, "Gretzky didn't just change the record book, he changed the way people thought about the game itself." His legacy is unmatched, and even today young players are compared to him as the ultimate standard of greatness. No player has ever combined dominance, intelligence, and influence the way he did. Like Gretzky, McDavid plays for the Edmonton Oilers, and like Crosby, he was drafted first overall with sky-high expectations. But McDavid's experience has been different. He's often considered the most talented player in the league today. However, unlike Crosby or Gretzky, he hasn't yet found the same team success, and many fans and analysts continue to debate whether he'll be able to build a legacy that goes beyond personal stats. Still, McDavid represents the future of the NHL, fast, skilled, and modern, and his journey shows how the league continues to evolve from one generation of stars to the next. Connor McDavid entered the NHL in 2015 with more hype than almost any player in modern hockey history. Drafted first overall by the Edmonton Oilers, he wasn't just seen as a future star, he was expected to save a struggling franchise. The Oilers had missed playoffs for nearly a decade despite multiple high draft picks, and when McDavid arrived, it was as if all the pressure and frustration of those years were suddenly placed on an 18-year-old's shoulders. In terms of skill, McDavid more than delivered. He quickly became one of the most electrifying players the league had ever seen, known for his incredible speed, control, and vision on the ice. But as time went on, the media often shifted the focus from what McDavid was achieving to what the team was failing to do. It wasn't enough that he led the league in points, he had to win, and if he didn't, the blame often seemed to fall unfairly on him. The media's treatment of McDavid has at times bordered on ruthless. Every missed playoff run, every early elimination has been treated not as team failure, but as a personal one. According to Bleacher Report, McDavid became a reluctant superstar, someone who just wants to play hockey but is constantly forced to carry the weight of his team, his city, and the entire league's future. The article highlights how he was cast into the role of savior before he even played a game, which shows just how unrealistic the expectations have been from the beginning. McDavid has never complained or lashed out, but he continues to work hard, lead by example, and let his play speak for itself. The idea that one player, no matter how talented, could single-handedly rescue a broken organization has proven unfair and unsustainable. Now, a similar story is beginning to unfold in Chicago. In 2023, the Blackhawks selected Connor Bedard as the first overall pick in the NHL draft, and almost immediately the comparisons to McDavid began. Like McDavid, Bedard was viewed as a generational talent, someone who could become the face of the NHL, as ESPN described. He was hailed as the savior of a franchise that had fallen into disarray after years of decline and controversy. From the moment he was drafted, the pressure was on. He was expected to fill seats, boost TV ratings, and bring Chicago back to his championship glory days. But while Bedard has shown flashes of brilliance early in his career, he faces the same uphill battle McDavid did, trying to lift an entire team that lacks depth, experience, and structure. What makes this pattern even more noticeable is when you compare it to how other young stars are developing in different environments. In San Jose, two highly talented prospects, Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, are also beginning their NHL journeys. Though the Sharks are far from a playoff team, the expectations placed on these two players are far more balanced. According to the NHL's official site, Celebrini and Smith are two peas in a pod with a strong friendship and supportive organization behind them. They're allowed to grow together, make mistakes, and build chemistry without being expected to carry the entire franchise on their backs. They're not being asked to save San Jose overnight, which gives them room to develop at a healthy pace both mentally and physically. This contrast shows just how much context matters in shaping a young player's career. McDavid and Bedard were both dropped into enormous pressure cookers, expected to fix things immediately and live up to unrealistic comparisons. Meanwhile, Celebrini and Smith, though just as talented, are being given time, space, and support. The difference isn't necessarily in the players themselves, but in the systems around them. As the NHL continues to grow and evolve, it's worth asking whether the league and media need to rethink how they treat their brightest young stars. From its humble beginnings in 1917 to its current status as the premier hockey league in the world, the NHL has gone through enormous changes, growing in size, popularity, and cultural impact. Through every era, it's been shaped by its players, from the legacy of Wayne Gretzky, who redefined greatness, to modern icons like Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, whose rivalry helped bring the game to a new generation of fans. These athletes didn't just play hockey, they carried the weight of the entire franchises and inspired millions in the process. But the NHL isn't only about celebrating legends of the past, it's also about how the league treats its future stars. The pressure placed on young players like Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard reveals just how intense the spotlight can be. While both have shown incredible talent and composure, they have also been expected to perform miracles, to fix broken teams, win championships, and save the sport all on their own. That kind of burden is enormous for any player, especially teenagers just beginning their professional journeys. The media's obsession with instant results can often overshadow the fact that hockey is a team sport, and no single player should be held responsible for a franchise's entire future. In the end, the NHL story is about more than stats and standings. It's about legacy, pressure, and the ever-changing relationship between players and the teams that depend on them. As the league continues to move forward, the challenge will be learning from the past, not just in how it celebrates greatness, but in also how it nurtures it. because the future of hockey doesn't just depend on the next superstar, it depends on how we treat them once they arrive. Thank you for listening.